This is module 3 and 4 of the time program. Are you in the now? In The Power of Full Engagement, Tony Schwartz talks about the idea that most of us have. Most of the time, mix together different things we are doing. We rarely focus on just one thing at a time, and this robs us of both enjoyment and productivity. This is related to neural dissonance. In the past several years, the latest brain scan technologies have revealed that it's your pain and fear circuits that keep you from achieving your best. These new insights also reveal how to overcome and replace the negative beliefs and habits that keep you stuck at your current income and success level. Here are the facts. Your brain is split into 3 parts. The instinctual, oldest part of your brain keeps you away from anything that is, or even imagined to be, painful or scary. Your rational, logical mind analyzes the ideas and plans that make it past your initial fear-comfort barriers. But it's your implicit emotional brain that is the actual decision maker when it comes to whether or not you will take decisive actions that will determine whether you achieve your goals and dreams. The average person gets 1 interruption every 8 minutes, or approximately 7 an hour, or 50 to 60 per day. The average interruption takes 5 minutes, totaling about 4 hours or 50% of the average workday. 80% of those interruptions are typically rated as little value or no value, creating approximately 3 hours of wasted time per day. Here's why knowing the above facts about your brain is vital to the future you envision for yourself and your loved ones, and even planning for the future. Whenever your emotional desires, beliefs, and values don't align with the rational, logical, or instinctual, safety-conscious brain, the 3 parts of your brain will constantly be fighting each other and undermining your ability to succeed at anything, especially your goals to grow and support yourself and your family. The mental tension is called neural dissonance. It's like having 1 foot on the gas and 1 foot on the brake every day. You make some progress, then sabotage it, over and over again, day after day. It gets old, doesn't it? If you're struggling to break through to the next level of success, if you're ready to take your foot off the brake in your life, the first thing to do right away is to get a logical, instinctual, and emotional mind working in a state of neural coherence or harmony. Let's say you have a great family and you also have a great work that you do. And let's say the work is intense and you've become a certified workaholic. When you're with your family, you're thinking about work, and when you're at work, you're thinking about how you should be spending more time with your family. Here we will discuss the most common distractions we face at work, and we look at strategies for minimizing or eliminating them. Stress response. If you were to type the word stress in any internet search engine, you will get a billion pieces of information related to stress and the harm it can cause. A general dictionary defines stress as a specific response by the body to a stimulus as fear or pain that disturbs or interferes with the normal physiological equilibrium of an organism, mental or emotional strain or tension. The word stress is derived from the Latin word stringer, meaning to draw tight, describing hardships. Every day, millions of people around the world experience stress ranging from mild dosages to extreme cases that lead to several complicated health disorders. Even animal, insect, and plants experience various degrees of stress due to several reasons. Dr. Hans Thiel, a reputed author of numerous papers and books on stress, says headaches, insomnia, high blood pressure, heart, and kidney disease are the common problems created by stress. According to his expert opinion, every stress leaves an indelible scar and the organism pays for its survival after a stressful situation by becoming a little older. When you're stressed, your adrenal glands produce a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol is a highly toxic substance that attacks muscles, organs, and rapidly diminishes your strength. It also diminishes your immune system, leading to various kinds of mental and physical disorders. Stress is your body's natural response to everyday physical, emotional, and environmental demands. Many people often confuse stress with plain tiredness. Whenever you ask someone if they're stressed, they immediately say they're okay or feeling fine. But the reality is different. You could be highly stressed but not physically tired. This is because stress is a silent killer and creeps into a person silently. You cannot avoid stress totally in today's life, especially in today's modern complex workplace. It is a mental thing that has the potential to create complicated health disorders. To understand the difference between stress and tiredness, just imagine a hot cup of coffee. The hot coffee can contain very less sugar or a very high quantity of sugar. The quantity of sugar, sweetness, is comparable to stress, whilst that temperature hotness is comparable to tiredness. The sweetness of the coffee does not reduce, even when the coffee cools down. Similarly, a person need not be physically tired, but could be under a lot of stress internally. For example, an impending tough exam, a court case, losing a job, workplace harassments, dealing with irrational people, accepting a heavy responsibility, etc., can create a lot of stress. On the other hand, plain tiredness, usually caused by excessive physical activity or exercise, can be eliminated by a few hours of good sound sleep or a good hot bath. Next, eliminating that stress will be the precision answers you can provide, solutions you can gather, or the specific actions you can take to reduce them. The solutions may not drop in overnight, but you can definitely find solutions over time to switch to the right stress reduction lane gradually. This is when you get neurodissonance. You can't be fully present in work, and you can't be fully present with your family. The tragedy with neurodissonance is even though you mean to do well in both areas, you end up doing poorly in both because your focus isn't clear. You're robbing both and you're about 50% of the efficiency that you could be at. So where are you living when you experience neurodissonance? In other words, where are you mixing your life up, trying to do a bunch of things all at once? Where do you not feel like you're putting 100% of your attention into one thing? Where are those times and areas of your life? First, make a list of all the things you do when you're experiencing neurodissonance. This should take about 5 to 10 minutes. Next, get some awareness about what is important in your life. What are the things you're trying to do when getting neurodissonance? What are the things you want to start putting all of your attention into in focused chunks of time? Go back over your list of the neural dissonance areas and put a star next to the things you need to pull out and focus large chunks of uninterrupted time on. Pick at least one emotional, one physical, and one mental combinations are fine. Managing your work environment. Email is just one of the many distractions that can affect your productivity. How often are you distracted at work? It's a question that's almost laughable, right? Most of us are distracted several times, if not dozens of times every day. We get emergency emails and phone calls. We take breaks to browse the internet. Co-workers walk into our office for a quick chat or send us amusing instant messages. It doesn't matter where you work or what you do, you probably deal with distractions on a daily basis. And these distractions are costly. A 2007 study of Basics estimated that distractions cost U.S. businesses $588 billion per year, and this high cost is likely repeated in organizations around the world. What's more, depending on the complexity of our work, regaining concentration after a distraction can take quite a few minutes. If we are distracted 10 times a day, multiply the time lost by 10 and it's easy to see why we sometimes don't get much quality work done. Learning how to minimize distractions can dramatically increase your productivity and effectiveness, as well as reduce your stress. So, email, while it's incredibly useful, is also one of the biggest work distractions we face. Many of us can spend an entire day simply reading and responding to emails. Schedule email time to minimize this distraction by scheduling specific time to check and respond to emails. Check and respond to emails at low productivity times. Remember, there are times of the day when you probably do your best work. Keep your email program closed When you're not using your email program, close it entirely or at least turn off the visual or audible alerts to distract you. A disorganized desk or office can be very distracting. When your workspace or the work life is disorganized, it can be difficult to think and plan clearly. Instant messaging can be useful, but many times it's also a way for co-workers to interrupt you without having to get up and walk into your office. If you use instant messaging, it's very powerful if you use it in a disciplined way. Get into the habit of using it for small, quick queries. It's better to use email or the phone for more complex ones. Presenteeism is described as being present at work but not being productive due to mental or physical health reasons. US companies lose between 200 to 300 billion a year due to absenteeism, tardiness, burnout, decreased productivity, workers' compensation claims, increased employee turnover, and medical insurance costs resulting from employee work-related stress. Make your schedule work. Leave time for fun. Use the time when you're most energetic and use this to get things that must be done. So each of us has a different peak time or highest energy time during the day. Some of us are morning people, others have more energy around mid-afternoon, and some people feel the best at night. Most people know instinctively when the up times are and when the down times are. You probably don't just have one. Some people feel up in the morning and others down in the afternoon and up again in the early evening. So understand how you space your time and how the time fluctuations occur and use that in your favor. So routine tasks can be boring, so get them finished and done when your energy levels are not necessarily at their best. This will leave you free to work on longer term, more creative tasks in a more focused, useful time. In your thoughts about managing time for greater productivity, be aware that you can expect a challenging road ahead. It's important that you understand how to organize your life and your time so that you're making the most use out of it. One of the core ideas that you want to think about is called the internal domino effect. The internal domino effect is a single thought that pops up in your mind that leads to another thought, another, and all of a sudden it's an hour later and you haven't gotten anything done. The internal domino effect can also be a single emotion that leads to another emotion and another, and all of a sudden you're worked up over nothing. The internal domino effect can also be something physical, like losing your keys. If you're looking for them, you find something else you haven't seen in a while, and that leads to something else, and then you're totally distracted. Multitasking can trigger your internal domino effect. In fact, many of us are internal domino effect addicts. We're addicted to the stress chemicals that get released when we're distracted and stressed out chasing our dominoes around. When you first notice your dominoes, it's a moment of being present. It's becoming aware of what's going on all along. To do this, first write down a list of all the dominoes or triggers that should distract you physically, emotionally, and mentally. Write down 3 or 4 in each area. Now look at the list for the biggest domino, then visualize yourself in the situation right where the domino shows up. See the situation begin to happen in super slow motion. Now do the same visualization, but this time see yourself being present as the domino happens. You take a deep breath, you let it go, and you get back to what you're doing. And you feel good, and you maintain your focus. An exercise that helps us get completion on things in our life. Parts of our life are incomplete, robbed out of energy. Maybe you had a fight with someone years ago and you never really resolved it, or someone ripped you off and you have lingering resentment, or you've been halfway done on a project for months. First, make a list of all the areas of your life where you have a sense of incompleteness. 1 page maximum. Should take less than 10 minutes. Now go through the list and prioritize the ones that are robbing you of the most energy. These are the ones we want to attack first. Either complete them or let them go consciously. Decide that it's not worth it to allow them to rob you of energy any longer. This can be hard because our energy, our ego can get involved. A lot of times we rather serve justice on another person than get our life and energy back. Weird, I know. Instead, make a conscious decision to either get completion or release it to the universe. Sleep deprivation is now costing US companies $63.2 billion a year in lost productivity. Exhaustion makes employees less efficient even in the time it takes to read email. They are also more irritable and more likely to explode. Most people can't sleep because they're obsessing about problems that are not theirs or problems they cannot solve. Very often they go round and round about them because they've trained themselves to problem solve without having a switch off button. Stressed and overwhelmed, but stress cannot be eliminated by sleep or a bath. Often people under duress will not be able to identify or sometimes admit the precise reason for their stress and start feeling the whole world is ganging up on them. Over time, stressed people will soon be unable to state exactly what they are stressed about. They feel attacked from all sides, feel unlucky, exhausted, and start getting agitated at everything trivial, big, related, or unrelated. And the standard responses people give for stress will be vague and generic stuff like work pressure, traffic, and noise politics. But pointing fingers and vague and subjective stuff does not help you in finding workable solutions. You need to be exact. But how exactly do you pinpoint a stress generator without visiting a stress management consultant? Just use a simple technique called asking yourself questions, similar to what consultants and doctors do when you go for a consultation. And you can go on and ask yourself a whole list of questions. The trick is to stop obsessing and start doing. So take out a piece of paper and write down all the things you're worried about, think about, write for 15 minutes straight. Do that now. Okay, that's a lot of stuff. Go through the list with a check mark next to everything that's outside your control, and the star is everything within your control. Then take all the items you start with the most important ones, no more than 10, transfer them to another list and put them in priority order. These are the things we're going to work on over the next few weeks. When you prioritize the top 10 items in your what I can control list, generate what you need to do to change the situation. List what changes you can make in the what I can change category. List the issues that continue to come up under the what I cannot change category. Whatever you've identified in what I cannot control and what I cannot change category, you consciously let go of these items in your mind. Okay, so now I'm ready to answer any questions that come up. Comments, observations, perceptions.
Linda, you have something for Dr. Sundadas?
Okay, you can ask your questions now.
Then, Peggy,
We're waiting to see if anybody's got questions, and I'll be happy to take them. This is one of the reasons why I suggest that you all send in your questions ahead of the webinar so that I can answer them. But apparently nobody is doing that yet. If the live chat is enabled, so you can ask the questions live, or you can type the questions. Is anybody, how are you all going with the program? What challenges are you having?
do you wanna ask your questions live?
I think you guys don't know how to do it.
You did it the last time. Just speak into your microphone or your laptop speaker.
Okay, your question was, can I have some explanation on the 60-60-30? Can this technique be used to optimize the reduced sleep and yet be the same as 7 hours sleep? This is not for replacing your sleep. While there are different approaches about sleep, I found basically that if you don't sleep enough, your brain doesn't deal with its own stuff. I hear you. Hear you. Right. Yeah, we can't hear you then, but I guess I'm going to respond to your question. You don't use this 60-30 to reduce to not sleep. Yeah, sleep is 7-8 hours. We found that if you actually use your time effectively, the getting enough sleep will improve your brain function, so it's optimal. And if you only get so many hours to work in, you know that your hours must be efficient. You will not waste your time doing things that don't have a good return on investment. I will refer back to what Beiji brought up in one of the previous questions. And the reality is that we spoke about how, as an expert, you need to be functioning at 40% of your capacity, so you have 60% to rise to extras and emergencies. And if you're learning anything new and you're doing it in your 60% extra time, extra resources, you again do the 60-40. That means you only spend 40% of that actually learning stuff and leaving remaining 60% to deal with whatever comes up. This is one way of making sure you never get overwhelmed. So when I hear you or see you write, can you use this to reduce sleep? You're basically going back to the same thing again of trying to burn the candle at both ends, which means you may not have actually looked at the bigger picture of your life and decided how you're going to make it more efficient, more focused, and only focus on the absolute essential things that are necessary that will give you results. Did you get that, Dan? Good. Any other questions? Comments, observations? Beiji, Linda, anything that you ask? Okay. Sure. The key is to, when you're planning, basically think in terms of 2-3 year periods of time. If you keep thinking in too short an interval, you actually can't do effective time planning because it's like there's so little time. Yeah. Basically, you give yourself a score for your energy level, your focus, your quality of rest, how much energy you have when you're exercising, and you give yourself a score from 0 to 10, 10 being the best, and 1 being like the lowest. Nobody should be at 0 really. And you will end up developing a measure in your own terms of what works for you, it doesn't work for you. So if you are eating right, sleeping right, exercising right, and working at an appropriate pace, you'll be anything from 6 to 8. If you are overdoing something, then it will dip. Occasionally it can dip, but if you're consistently dipping, it means you're overdoing it, which means you haven't quite worked out appropriate measures. And that's not good for long-term sustainability. Any other questions? You can see people are talking. but we're not hearing you. Okay.
So let's you talk.
Huh?
It's us talking.
Okay.
Very strange why they're not getting any. You can't hear them. It was fine the last time.
Live chat, maybe. Are they both enabled?
Yeah, both live chat is enabled.
Mm.
Both enabled. It's a question.
Yeah, that's right. That's why you need to remember one of the questions you asked me in the previous session was, if you have so little time, how do you get anything done? Yeah, I couldn't hear you. If you have so little time, how do you get things done? That's why you have to look in terms of 2 or 5 year chunks. Then you can actually fit that in. If you are thinking in terms of just 3 months or 6 months and you want to do all the pieces, then you find that you actually can't get anything done. So for example, some of the projects that I planned in advance, I planned it 2-3 years ago, where I had to wait for the resources to come together. So I had what we call a triggering mechanism. This is a project I want to do. When the resources come together, then I will activate it. So that's one way of doing it. You plan for certain projects, and at this point at which you put together the project, you don't have the necessary resources, and you can either say, okay, I will wait until I get the resources. I will wait for the resources to come together. Then I will embark on the project. So that's one approach. The other approach is that, and this happens if you are back to the 60-40 rule, you actually have enough extra spare capacity to go around looking for the required resources to make that project happen. Okay, in the 45 minutes, 2 is the most effective time of the day. So basically, the other important thing I want to talk about is don't try and do too many things in the important things in the same day. You can have what we call today is important planning day. Don't use it for important learning. Or today is important learning day. Don't use it for planning important things. So after I do everything and I finish a day, if I want to revise work that I've done, I go back home and I revise stuff that I'm learning. But I won't use it to learn new stuff. I'll use it to revise stuff I have already done. If I'm going to learn something totally new, I have to make sure that I have a significant chunk of time put aside for that, and I'm not doing anything new or different that day, because that's all the resources I have. So when you say, do I use it for important things or reserve it for learning important things, then you do one or the other, but you don't do both on the same day. Does that answer your question there? And I know that you want to be efficient and organized, but the reality is, if you're trying to do something that you're not going to be very efficient at, it's not the best use of resources. Okay, I was, so I was telling them that if you're going to learn something new, then that day, that section of that time can be dedicated to something new and not planning for something important. If it's planning for something important, then you shouldn't be using it. You're trying to learn something new at the same time, because both of them will actually involve using up mental resources, some willpower, and all of that. And once you do that, you're going to be tired. And you're going to feel frustrated, futile, somewhat overwhelmed if you try and do all of that on the same day. Can you hear me now, Paige? If you can, just type something. Any other questions? Okay, great. So, then Paige, Linda, actually, I actually think in terms of 10 to 20 years. But I found that for a lot of people, it seems too overwhelming. But for me, when I think about 10 years, then a lot of the projects I'm working on become doable. So yeah, I would think in terms of 10, 15 years. And if you are disciplined enough and you actually have a detailed map and you have an overall map of what you're going to do in each of those years, and basically when you're planning, the further you plan, the more variables creep in. So what I would do is, I would have plan A, B, and C. Plan C is to account for the worst possible scenario. Plan A is the best possible scenario, and plan B is what's most likely to happen. So I plan my infrastructure and my framework so that if the worst possible scenario occurs, I'm good. Then after that, you look at, can you handle the situation if the best possible scenario occurs? When you've covered both ends of the spectrum, when the most obvious thing occurs, you're good to go. So when you're doing 10-year planning, you need to account for more variables than when you do 1, 2, 3, or 5. And I've actually looked at my calendars that I've set aside for the last 3 to 5 years. And I found that very often some of the plans I put aside, I put together, were so extensive that they took almost 3 years before they took off. So that's I'm learning on the job. So it's about sometimes you think you're being real, but in actually executing it, you realize it takes that much time to actually implement it. So yeah, 10 years is great if you can actually get down to it. Most people have a problem seeing that far ahead. Any other questions? Yeah, it's you can set your goals, but if your infrastructure is not in place, you're going to have problems carrying through. So it's not like you only set your goals. Yeah, that's right. It's not that you can't set your goals without having an infrastructure in place. You can set your goals, but your capacity to go about actually achieving these goals will be dependent on whether your infrastructure is in place or not. So I'm going to give you, since this military example, right? So say for example, you've got this fighter planes will have the travel distances. So what you do is you have aircraft carriers and tankers streaming along. And yeah, so you're streaming along, and so what will happen is the aircraft carriers and the tankers will allow the fighter planes to travel even further because the fighter planes can stop, refuel, and go on. But in order to do that, the general planning the war has to put in place all this logistics and infrastructure and plan it from the very beginning so that at the right time when the fighter jets are about to travel the distances, the tankers and all of that are already way ahead of them because the jets are moving at different speeds. So think of your goal setting as the jets. When you're going after a goal, you're like a fighter jet. You're going to go there, you bomb the place and all of that. Then your infrastructure is all your tankers, your aircraft carriers, all of them that are ready to refuel your fighter jets so that they can go to where their targets are and be able to come back and land safely. So you actually need to have routines and schedules to protect and support your infrastructure while you go after your goals. So that's what basically you're saying. We need to maintain all of the infrastructure while you're going after your goal. So yeah, I think then when you actually implemented the ideas we have discussed, you find that you're a lot more efficient. So I now find that when I want to learn or do stuff, I keep it very short and contained. Because one of the rules is that if you want to be efficient in life, you don't give yourself huge amounts of time, energy, or resources. All efficiency arises because of limitations and constraints, not because of ample resources, ample time, and ample facilities. So productivity, efficiency, innovation arises because of scarcity of time, energy, and resources. However, once you've optimized it, any further reductions results in reduction in quality. So you need to be real about how efficient you can get. After that, you get diminishing returns. So Paige, have I answered your question? Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah. So that's good for them that the ability to say no is liberating. And Paige, yes, before you set your financial goals, you should make sure your health is optimum, relationships stable, healthy habits and routine are in place. Because very often, when I work with entrepreneurs and business owners who just focus on one area of, say, profits, and they are not careful about their resources and all of that, they often get into significantly challenging situations and then spend a lot of time, effort, and energy having to repair them. So yes, you should build focus on your infrastructure first if you want to set out far-reaching goals. Because without that, You may find that halfway through your achieving your targets, your systems are not robust enough to complete the journey. Okay, next question. Yeah, that's right. I mean, if you're going to go to war, your capacity to be an effective soldier will mean you can control your physical, emotional, and mental attitudes. And you are in a reasonably healthy place. If you cannot even carry your gun or your weapon or your problem moving from point A to point B, you're fainting of hunger, you can't even sight your enemy clearly, you're no point, you can't fight. So your physical, emotional, and mental resources needs to be fairly consistent and fairly functional in order for you to continue moving towards your goals. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So this is why you have to get real about your time. Most people who decide to do all of this are so unrealistic about their time and energy resources that by the time they get started, they run out of something and have to start all over again. Or they underestimate some vital resource and they're unable to get to their intended targets on time. So this is why the 60-40 rule becomes so important because it actually gives you an opportunity to estimate everything. In one way, if you are in a job, your infrastructure, your fundamental basic infrastructure in terms of financial and other terms is assured. The only thing is the ceiling isn't very high. If you're running a business, it looks like the ceiling is high, but basically you got no safety net. So whether you're working for somebody or you're working on your own, there are different risk reward ratios. Okay, next question. Okay, technically, meditation is a process of calming your mind, while visualization is to go after what you want. They're actually different functions of the mind. So you want to do a meditation exercises to set the base, quieten your mind, get clear, make sure that the environment is set up. Then you will do visualization. Then maybe you can look at run through an overview of the day, the week, the month inside, and that should take an hour. So you would be doing a mixture of meditation and visualization. Next question. When you work on your morning ritual and you realize you can't keep doing it consistently, it means that your morning ritual hasn't reached stability. You haven't been, you haven't honed it to something that's reproducible. So this means then that you go back to that ritual and you do it, build it layer by layer. First get one piece, right, and then you add the next piece, and then you add the next piece. All right, Paige? Now then, yes, for your 1 hour meditation, 1 hour internal session, you first do maybe 15-20 minutes of a meditative practice, and then maybe 15 minutes of visualization for your future, and then visualization for the day and the week, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Okay, let me just take the last two questions. Okay, that's good that you found that useful. The trick is, the more precise you get about every domain of your life and every process, the better your results. Yeah, that's right, KG. Drinking water, meditation, shower, exercise. Get drinking water first, drinking water followed by meditation. So take each particular exercise. Yeah, that's right. That's what we mean by layering. Take each process and get it precise. Don't just put one on top of the other and hope it fits together. Okay? Each layer has to be precise. Like when I actually have my breakfast, I have glasses of juice that I drink, vitamins that I take, followed by my fruits. And while I'm doing that, I'm looking at my handphone, and that's a 12-minute exercise. That's where everything is done. So it's very, very, very precise. I don't have time to muck around and do other stuff. And then when I'm on the way in the MRT, I'm doing my emails and I'm doing my brain exercise. So that when I get to the office, I'm ready to go. And I really have to be on the ball when I get to the office from 10 to 7 p.m. Okay, last question. What I told, the sequence I suggested was for then. You may have to decide what your intended outcomes are and come up with a sequence of your own. So when you design a sequence based upon your intended outcomes. Yes, exactly. This is not a question of logistics. So you're asking a bigger question, which is, what should you do? What should you do? For that, that would depend on what your intended outcomes are. So you go back to what you want to achieve, what outcome you want to achieve, where you want to be, what kind of person you want to be, those questions have to be answered. Then we can go into the specific meditative practices. Speaking function. Can you turn on the speech stuff, chat? You're going to try and make sure that you can turn on the live and the speech function. Is that Q&A? Is it Q&A? Maybe audio had to be louder before they could speak. Okay, then turn that out back on. Can you all speak now? No, let me call the settings. Let's add people. Where did they all go? They're still there. And testing. Okay, what's happening? Screen share. Look at what settings are. Bandwidth.
Sound, voice. Built-in microphone.
Huh?
I don't know whether is it default or should be default. Maybe I didn't know.
Okay. Can you all hear us? You have to turn on the chat window because the chat's not on and you can't see what's happening. And that will hide participants. Oh, let's chat. Let's chat.
Is that?
Mm. When it's all available commands.
Enter. Yeah.
Open chat.
Open or close chat. D. This.
You have to enter this. Where you go?
Copy. Question mark, right?
That's a question.
Yeah. Shift.
Huh?
But the thing is, where are they? Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, they're back.
They're back here again.
Yeah. You had the yes.
So this is the settings just now.
Okay. You just reloaded. Okay.
3 of them are there.
And you're back in again.
Check. And these are okay. 3 of them.
Then click here to enable. Yeah.
Okay. Check.
Yeah. Okay, we will try to get you all to be able to speak. We can't seem to find that. So, is there anything else you all want to ask before we call it? Last time we could actually have vocal
Yeah, I don't know
voice.
what it is.
This time we can't seem to do it. Any other comments, observations, perceptions? Okay, what did he ask about the net? You want to repeat your question then? Because we for a moment there we kind of missed the live chat and we didn't catch all the comments. Yeah, well, you could actually use a nap around 3 to 5 for about 12 to 20 minutes, and it can be useful. So much more than that, it doesn't work. Too short, you don't quite get it. But about 15 to 25 minutes, it can be very useful. To do with certain rhythms and circadian rhythms. Yes, 3 to 5 p.m. for 12 to 20 minutes. That's right. Not throughout the day, just from 3 to 5. Correct. Only from 3 to 5, 15 to 25 minutes. Yeah, that's right. That's when most people, if they are in trouble, if they are working those hours, that's when they will need it. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a great day. And it would be great if you could post your questions in advance for the next webinar. That way, we can prepare a lot better rather than spending time actually taking questions. Thank you so much. Have a great day.